Hey everybody, Games with Chin here, and I'm here to do the accessibility review for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre by Gun Media and Sumo Digital. Okay, so there's a lot to cover here, and I want to first off state that I'm only covering the review for people with range of motion issues. I don't feel it would be fair for me to cover disabilities that I do not have. And this is also not a review of the game itself, even though the game is amazing, just an accessibility review. So, first off, okay, so the victims. This is a 3 family or killers versus 4 victims game. Now, the victims can be quite difficult, but let's go over the controls. So, I think the preset 2 is the easiest control scheme for people with range of motion issues. So your left analog stick, it moves as normal, but then you can press it down to run. This is most standard games in any genre, really, to be able to do that, which is very, very helpful. Not much I would change there. I think that's a super easy, simple, good deal. On your D-pad, left selects your left pocket, right selects your right pocket. So, again, pretty easy, pretty standard. Now, I haven't tried this yet, but based on their other menus, usually when you hit like right button to go over, you have to hit left button to go back across. While not super difficult, I think it could be really beneficial if you could just press the right button again to go back to the first part of the menu. Or in this case, with the pockets, this could already be a thing, so if I'm wrong, I apologize, but when you hit right to go to the right pocket, if you have to hit left to go to the left pocket, well, for me personally, hitting left on the D-pad can be a little challenging. And if I have to remap it on the Xbox to a different button like down or up, it could get a little, sometimes confusing during the game. So it'd be great if you could hit the right on the D-pad, because I can hit that easily. And then if you hit right on the D-pad again, it'll take you back to your other item. This might already be the case. I could very well be wrong. Okay. The right analog stick moves the camera as one would expect. And then you can click it to camera shoulder. So like it'll switch shoulders. I haven't even had to switch shoulders yet with this game. So, yeah, I haven't had to switch at all. And it's been pretty easy to play. For the most part. We'll get into what the difficult parts are in a moment. Right now, we'll just go over the controls. Where's mine? Right trigger is sneak attack. This is great because you just press it. So if you're running up behind a family member, you just press it. And if you have a bone shard, you'll stab them. Super simple, super good. Right button is your star sign ability. I was worried about this at first because I thought you were going to have to hold down the button, but you don't. You just press it, and it takes over. Another great part. Okay. Y or triangle, if you're on PlayStation, use item. Now, this is easy, but you got to hold it. Well, you got to hold it down if you're going to heal. But not very long. This will kind of coincide with some of my other things I'm going to say here in a little bit. But we really need the ability to toggle. So there are a lot of things in this game that require you to hold a button for an extended period of time. We'll go over that shortly. X is interact. It'll coincide with what I'm kind of saying in a moment. B is crouch. Amazing. It's just a toggle feature. You don't have to hold it down. You just press it, they crouch, and then you press it again to stand. Exactly what I would want. Okay. So A is sprint burst. Okay, so while this is, it's good, it can also be a little challenging. Now, I'm not sure if you can hold down the button and they keep sprinting. I have had more luck pressing the button repeatedly than I have being able to hold it down. So if it's not already in the game, the ability to just hold it down and keep running would be absolutely ideal. Absolutely ideal, personally. I admit, I don't really play the victims as much as I do the family because I like playing the family better, and the controls are just, they're easier to navigate. But so let's get into some of the things that I was talking about that are more challenging, at least for me. So I have to use a control scheme called legacy sticks. For those who don't know what legacy sticks are, legacy sticks was created by Rare with the 007 GoldenEye game on the Nintendo 64. What it is, example, the left analog stick, if you press up, the character will run forward. If you press down, they'll move backwards. If you press left, it'll turn the camera left, and right will turn the camera right. The right analog stick will look up or down, like up on the right analog stick will look up or down depending if it's inverted. Down will look up or down depending if it's inverted. But left will strafe or move the character left, and right will strafe or move the character right. So the way lockpicking works is, there is a meter that goes from left to right and all in between. So it could be like up diagonal left, or it could be up diagonal right. It's kind of like the Skyrim way, except you got to hold the direction down the entire time. It's not like Skyrim where you flick it, and once you find the sweet spot, it will just stay there. You got to hold it down the entire time while holding X or pressing X if you're in a hurry and you're trying to lockpick fast. So with legacy sticks, that would require the use of 2 analog sticks simultaneously, and that's incredibly, I can't do it personally. So when I play, I have to play with friends or hope that a random person has unlocked the door. Otherwise, I'm completely unable to lockpick, unfortunately. So that's part of the reason I don't play Victim much. But I would love to see either the ability to have a toggle feature instead of hold down, or something of the sort. So let me go to my notes, as you'll see here. So, okay, so some of the things that I think could be very, very beneficial is implement legacy sticks in the game options. So have the options to implement legacy sticks, but when you go to lockpick, it is not legacy sticks. It'll be a standard stick. So legacy sticks will be when you're running the character, etc. But when you go to lockpick, it will stick with the 1 analog stick to move around the entire lockpick meter. I think this would make a world of difference, especially with lockpicking. And maybe even the ability to toggle, having to press, like just press the button once and the bar will, slowly fill up, and then you press it again to stop the bar with, before either you break your tool or make too much noise. I think that could be very, very helpful because holding down a button can just be, it can be daunting, especially on some of the tasks where if you want to break the or turn off the battery, I guess, by kicking it so you can get out of a gate, you got to hold down the X button for an extended period of time. I think it's like 5-6 seconds, maybe a little longer. I'm not entirely sure. But the ability in that case to just press the button until it fills up and completes the task, or maybe have it stop where if you just decide to run away from the generator, or press the button again, or press B to cancel it or something. But having a toggle feature so you could just press the button and it'll fill up would be chef's kiss. It would be so much better and so much easier in that regard. Other than the lock picking, which I've covered, and some of the tasks, the game is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to play, in my opinion. It's the lockpicking and the constantly holding down a button to do tasks that I think with a toggle feature could just be completely just a game changing, if I'm being honest. So now, with the victims out of the way, let's go to the family. So, the family, in my opinion, with the exception of Leatherface, is drastically easier in terms of control-wise. So, you have, again, I use preset 2. I use preset 2 for victims, family, and Leatherface. It's the easiest for range of motion issues, by far. So, you have the left analog stick. It moves like you would expect. It also, you click it down, it runs, toggle runs, not hold down. That's perfect. Right analog stick moves the camera. If you click the right analog stick, it'll change the camera over the shoulder. Again, I haven't used it. Haven't had to. Now, when you hit the left button, it's a family focus. So, for those who have never played the game, what that means is when you use your family focus, it highlights all the important things on the map. So, it'll highlight Grandpa, it'll highlight where your other family members are. It will highlight like key things, gates and things like that. It's a press button thing. It's toggle. Don't gotta hold it down. That's very, very helpful. Very helpful. Right trigger is attack. This is, you got to keep pressing the right trigger to attack. I would not change anything on that. I get that completely. That's great. That's what I would have done, what I would have expected. So, right button is you use their special abilities. So, for Sissy, Johnny, Hitchhiker, and the Cook, they all have different abilities, and you press the right button, and it's a toggle feature, and it will immediately work. So, you press the right button, Sissy will blow a poison cloud. If you're the Cook, you press the right button, it'll bring up the hearing deal where he can hear victims, but you don't gotta hold it down, and that's so important. And what they did right, you only press it, and then when you want to stop it, you press it again. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so Y is the interact special. So for the Cook, he has padlocks. So you have to hold down Y for like a second, and he'll put a padlock on. Again, I think having a toggle feature where you press the button until the bar fills up would be very helpful. I think it would save people from having to hold down the button. And I'm only speaking for people with range of motion issues. I know for the average gamer, holding down buttons is not a problem. But Some of us it's harder to do, so toggle features they're just night and day. They're game changing. And it goes with X, interact. It's the same thing as a victim. If you want to start a car battery, you got to hold down X for like 5 or 6 seconds, give or take. I don't have the exact seconds, but it's a lengthy period of time. Having the ability to toggle that, press it once till the bar fills up, or until you press the button again, or B to cancel, would be absolutely ideal. Absolutely ideal. B is crouch or stand. It's just like the victims. You press it, it toggles. Perfect. A is interact alternative. So this is how you lock doors and things like that. Off the top of my head, from what I can remember, everything on that is toggle. You just toggle it, and you only press it. You don't have to hold nothing down. And that is, again, so incredibly just helpful and crucial. And that's what I would want it to do. Okay. Now we're moving on to Leatherface. So he is definitely, in terms of accessibility, he's the hardest to play. So Leatherface, as you know, he has a chainsaw. So the way they did the startup feature for the chainsaw is great. You just press the X button. You have to time it right. There's like a little meter that you got to time correctly. But it's a toggle feature. You don't hold it down, and it'll start the chainsaw. That's easy enough. Actually, you know what? We'll get into that in a moment. So Leatherface's controls, we'll go to that first, are left analog stick moves, like usual. You press it down to run. It's a toggle run. Perfect. Right analog stick moves the camera. You press it down the right analog stick to change the shoulder. LB, you press it to family focus, just like all the other family members. It'll highlight the family members, grandpa, all the key features. And it's a toggle for Leatherface. Okay. The left trigger is how you rev your chainsaw. Now, while it is not mandatory to rev your chainsaw in order to kill people, it does drastically do more damage and can kind of be the difference between losing a game and winning a game. Now, right now, you have to hold down the left trigger. I would love there to be a toggle feature where you press it and Leatherface will keep revving it until you either press the button again or press B to cancel, or even if, you know, he stops revving it when you attack, miss or hit. Because then you could just press the button again to rev it again if you really need to. But I think there definitely needs to be a toggle feature for the rev chainsaw, because holding down the button to rev it while using the analog stick to move, while having to hit right trigger to attack, for someone with range of motion issues is hard. It's really hard to do. And I play with my chin, and it's really, really hard to do. So, right trigger is attack. It's what everyone else's does. You keep pressing it to attack. I wouldn't change that. I completely understand why they do that way. Right button is chainsaw on off. You press it, he'll turn it off. Now when you press it again, that's when you have to restart it, unless you have instant saw where Leatherface will start it on his own. Now, I have found a workaround around this. So if you turn your chainsaw off, instead of hitting right button, this can save people a button. If you need right button for something else, or you don't want to have chainsaw on off, if you turn it off, like when the game starts, you hit the attack button, and it'll also bring up the menu to be able to start your chainsaw. This comes exceptionally handy. I use that instead of right button, to be honest with you. Now, Y is destroy object. So with Leatherface, you cut a lot of things. You cut doors, you cut barricades, you cut holes on the ground so they can't crawl in and out. It's not a long prompt. You hold it down for like a second. But again, having the ability to just press it until that bar fills up to toggle it would be helpful. You just press it, the bar will fill up in a second. Super helpful, would make things a lot easier. Other than that, there's really no way I can think to correct that. It's just a toggle feature would be nice. Interact. X. Same thing as all the other players. When you want to start a car battery, anything that requires an extended task, you hold down X. Now, about the only task that I would say is an extended task would be starting the car battery. Again, having the ability to just toggle that, just to press the button, would be so much more helpful than holding it down. That's about it. So far, it's a lot of just toggle, toggle, toggle. A is interact alternative. So, again, most like everyone else, you just press it. It's just a toggle feature. I don't remember anything off the top of my head that requires you to hold down A. It's just you press it and it'll lock doors, or it'll do, if a victim falls to the ground, you can pick them up and kill them. Things like that. You just press it and he'll do it. Super, super simple. So that's some of the things that I think could be changed to really help this game in terms of accessibility. Again, I'm not speaking on accessibility for disabilities that I do not have, because it just wouldn't be fair. I can't give a proper review on that. But other than that, legacy sticks in game would be huge, except for when you're like in menus or on the tree, like when you do your skill tree. Don't have legacy sticks. Have it be standard sticks. Have it be legacy sticks only end game, and only like with victims, when you go to lockpick, have the lockpick not have legacy sticks. So you do not have to navigate 2 analog sticks simultaneously, because lockpicking, you got to hold down up on one, maybe down left corner on another, or I guess it's up and then up left corner to find the sweet spot. And that's not doable. Whereas if legacy sticks were in the game, you could run and turn the camera. Because right now, if without legacy sticks, I wouldn't be able to play this game at all. Because as a victim, I'd have to run, and when I want to turn the camera, I'd have to stop moving, turn the camera to where I want to look, then start running again, and I'd get killed quickly. Or as a family member, I wouldn't be able to catch no one. So, legacy sticks allows the use to turn the camera and move forward and backwards at the same time. So it allows you... I tend to lose victims a little easier that way, because I can't strafe and turn the camera at the same time, but I still hold my own pretty well, so I'm not complaining. But with victims, to have the ability to run, turn the camera, or sneak along and turn the camera, except in lockpicking mode, where it'll use one analog stick to control the lockpick where it needs to go, and press X or hold it down would be great. And it would be even more helpful if in lockpicking mode you can use one analog stick, but instead of holding it down, as soon as you find the sweet spot, that's it. You don't got to hold it down. Then you press X or hold it down, and then you wouldn't even have to toggle X on lockpicking mode. But even though toggling X would make it a toggle feature, would still be incredibly beneficial. Other than that, I do believe I have covered about everything that there is to cover. The game's accessibility, for the most part, is very well done. I give them credit. They made a game that was it's simple in terms of control wise. It's not simple in terms of a game. It's a complex game with a good learning curve, and it's a lot of fun. I love this game. A huge fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, my favorite horror movie franchise, and I'm so glad that Gunn did it justice. Sumo Digital, they all did such an amazing job. They did this game justice, and you can tell the love, the detail, the amount of care that went into this game is just so evident, and I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. But as far as accessibility goes, I think I covered everything. It's a very simple game in terms of mechanics and controlling, and they did a great job. I just think there's a couple things they could improve on, and I do believe that down the road, I do believe they will improve on those things. Other than that, that's it. So I want to thank you for taking this time to listen to the review. I hope it helps you. And in the immortal words of one Bill and Ted, please be excellent to each other.